Hello everyone, it's UB. Welcome to a trade review video. In this video, I'll be going over another Bitcoin short hedge. If you haven't seen these videos before, this is not a way for me to give you hindsight analysis or anything like that. I already put all of this analysis in real time in my chart section in the Haven group. These videos are just supposed to be educational content and a way for me to verbally explain my thought process and explain a little bit more detail of what I was looking for at the time, why I took certain positions, take profits, etc. Okay, so for this short hedge specifically, or I should say that the goals of these short hedges, the two that I've taken the last couple days, are just to protect any downside risk. I'm just trying to wipe out the late longers. I'm just trying to go for a little bit of a mean reversion tactic for my short entries. And the time of day really plays a big part in this, which I'll talk a little bit about in a couple minutes. So when all of those stars align, I guess you could say, is when I look for short positions, but I really want to be in and out of these positions. I really don't want to hold it more for, I don't know, let's say 2,000 points or so, because Bitcoin has been just ripping 1,000 points from the lows in quite literally a single 5-minute candle. So shorting in this type of market environment, I don't want to say it's scary, but it's just a little bit more high risk than obviously, shorting in a bear market or when the trend is a little bit down. The trend is clearly still up, so there's no reason why we should be holding on to short positions for too long. Also, with these short hedges, I'm protecting, like I said, downside risk for my, cold storage holdings, or I'm protecting my downside risk from my alt long exposure, just something like that. And it's just another trade, right? You can also look at it as another trade. But anyway, let's get into this video here. I wanted to make a video about this one specifically because this consolidation period and the consolidation period in which I took my short hedge from look very, very similar. So I just want to go over why I decided to take it here instead of taking a short hedge here. So firstly, we're playing the same exact pattern that I was talking about in my last Bitcoin short hedge video. The pump, stall, bleed down. That's exactly the structure I was looking for. That's exactly, what eventually played out. But why I didn't take the short hedge here, and what I want to speak about a little bit before I got into that, is when you're scalping, and especially counter trend or really just low time frame trading in general, a lot of people won't talk about this, but you really need to take into account time of day. Okay, time of day is extremely, extremely important when taking lower time frame trades, because during a high volume time, you're potentially going to want to take a trade that's following the trend. Lower time or off time, maybe lately the Asia trading session has been mostly bearish, so during those times you'll want to look for short positions. During higher volume times, we know, at least over the last few weeks, that the New York Open session, London Open session has been typically bullish, so I'll be looking for longs in those times. Okay, so this consolidation period happened in the middle of the trading day for me. Okay, so this was typically a higher volume time. It didn't really look that bad, right? Because we have a series of higher lows. We're compressing directly below resistance, and I really like this swing high because it's, we bounced a couple hundred points, put in our high, and then created our low. So technically, this should be our trading range. We put in the high there, put in the low. Actually, we could say this is our low here because we could say we swept the lows, right? Strong bounce after sweeping the lows. But this isn't really going to be tradable, right? An 11% range is not that tradable, especially in this type of market environment. I could also take this swing low and what the hell? Okay, I guess you understand what I'm saying here. You could also take this swing low there, and that could be our range low as well, but still, it's a very wide range, and that's not really actionable, especially on lower time frames. You're not typically going to see, a 10% whipsaw on lower time frames to hit your range high and range low. So I really like this range. We could see that this swing high did flip into perfect resistance here, compressing under this resistance, and this is our breakout point. Okay, so the main reason why I did not take my short hedge here was because we didn't sweep these highs yet. Okay, this high was left unswept, and if we extend this line to the left, we could see that there was a lot of untapped highs here, right? Look at how perfect this support and resistance is here. Right, so there's a lot of untapped highs here, so an argument I had at the time was, okay, maybe we'll just spike up, take out the lows, and then flip this area back into resistance, then I'll take a short somewhere down here. That was the idea, okay? And also at the time, I believe Ethereum on the hourly looked decent, so I really just didn't want to short into that because Ethereum could have dragged Bitcoin up a little bit. So, and also again, the top reason why I didn't take it is because time of day. This was still the peak time of day, so I definitely didn't want to short during that time when I know historically this is a higher volume time, and in that higher volume time, it's typically bullish. Right, now we're flipping into the Asia trading session here. We have a couple hours into the daily close. So around there, like 4 hours into the daily close is when things get a little bit shaky. You know, it could be bullish or bearish. So I thought this looked like a perfect setup here. We broke out. We have our breakout point here. We're stalling a little bit, series of higher lows here. So what I really liked about this is it helped reinforce my argument that we need to wipe out late longers before going up a little bit more. So when we have a low time frame series of higher lows like that, it's a little bit scary because we could see a spike down before continuing higher. I mean, scary if you're in a long position, if you're in a breakout long. So that was something to look out for. Also, I believe that's everything. Yeah, cool. So let me just delete this line because it didn't really play any significance whatsoever. We have our range high here. This I did not add on my chart yet, but I added it a little bit later. So we have our series of higher lows. I believe I took this hedge directly here. Okay, and the argument was that this is going to be like a similar pattern of right here, right, where we break above this little support and resistance flip, stall a little bit, maybe bearish retest a couple times. I've been noticing on lower time frames we see a bunch of bearish retests before actually selling off. So that it looked like a similar pattern to me as well. Also, there was a spike up that immediately bled down. So we had a $400 spike, sold off immediately, attempted to bounce. So this is kind of like the smaller time frame of the breakout and bleed down pattern, right? So that's essentially the same exact thing as this pattern right here. So now for this pattern specifically, we just pop a little bit for like 30 minutes, stall, bleed down, accelerated sell off below the low here. So similar pattern, it just happens quicker there. So we have a pattern within a pattern here. The within a pattern is this run up here. So you could say that this is the stalling period, and then this is going to be the markdown period. Okay. So we could see that we have a pattern within a pattern, price bled down. I started to hedge here. I'm almost positive that's when I put my alert out. If it wasn't here, it was like a couple hundred points higher, maybe at 33.6. Let me just quickly see what my take profit was. I probably should have looked at this before. Okay. So my take profit, I had two kind of like take profits. So I should mention that for hedges, I don't have as, concrete take profits as if it's just any other normal trade where I'm taking profit at, I don't know, take profit 1, 36, 100, take profit 2, etc., etc. For hedges, I'd rather see the reaction at keyed levels and then base my decision off of that because, at the end of the day, the goal of this hedge was just to protect any downside risk I have for my altcoin longs or my cold storage, whatever I said in the beginning of the video. So that, so I like to give my hedges a little bit more time just to see how the market reacts at certain levels. And the key level I had was 32,750, and that was a low time frame level. And I also had an hourly level of 32.5. And on the hourly time frame, I think this will mess up. Oh, it didn't. Cool. Okay, on the hourly time frame, it's just the breakout point from down here. Okay, and all of this support and resistance area right here Can I click that? Thank you. All of this in here is at that 32.4, 32.5K level. Okay, so I put those two areas of my area as my area of interest for this short hedge. And here we go. Let's see how it plays out here. And all this is a low time frame trading range, right? I put my range high here, and I put my equilibrium. It's just half of the trading range, right? So I just went like that. Cool, half of the trading range is right there. Put a line there to see how price reacted to it, and it held up fairly well. Let's see here. Okay, so this is where I was watching very carefully because we swept all of these lower time frame lows. So if we started to grind right back up above this area right here, the 33.7K level, I would have manually closed. So that was just something to look out for because we really should not reclaim that level if we're doing my breakout, stall, and bleed pattern. We really shouldn't, make a higher high, something like that. Okay, perfect. So let me just delete that real quick. Let's see how things play out. So just keep in mind that I am in a short hedge right now at the time of, when this is playing out, obviously. All right, perfect. So we break below our equilibrium. Now we're retesting our first key area of 32,750. Okay, and again, keep in mind what I said, that I don't want to be holding short hedges for too long. At this point, I'm already up, I think, like 800 points, something like that. So it's getting to that area where I'm starting to wait and see the reactions, and we are approaching this key level here. My range low in this specific example, so want to see the reaction there, and we're stalling a little bit around there. And it's also worth noting that at this time we have about an hour until the daily close, and lately when the daily closes we get some sort of sell-off. So I was waiting to see if we actually did get a sell-off. I was slightly concerned about this consolidation here. If it was a different time, I probably would have closed manually there for my 800 points. But because I know historically over the last couple of weeks at the daily close we get some sort of sell-off, I was positioning myself accordingly for that sell-off. And the daily close is going to close in like 6 more candles here. Did it close right there? Okay, 20 minutes until the close. And then here's the close. So here's the daily open right here. We are approaching that second key daily level of 32.5. And I believe this is where I close my short hedge, right here. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I closed it right here. I remember I closed immediately before a second leg down. But I closed it right here because I was pretty concerned that we tapped this key daily level. We tapped the base of the breakout point here. Or did I say key daily level? I meant key, hourly support and resistance flip level there. So I didn't want to hold for too long. I was also up 1,000 points. So that's kind of like my threshold that I'm looking for some sort of bounce to occur. And there we go. And then we could see that we actually went quite a bit lower, but again, doesn't really matter to me. I got my 1,000 points out of it, and now all today we've just been consolidating, putting in low time frame series of higher lows. But that is everything I wanted to talk about for this specific video. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.